Greetings, Legendary Badass here. We've got a Red Bull to drink tonight on the stream. Taking questions from you guys because I'm lazy. But I'll share with you a little bit of what I've done so far this week. Yesterday, pre-ordered the Switch 2. I had intentions to... I went by there the night before asking them if they were going to do a midnight pre-order, and that was really only online. Now I went over to GameStop. It said on the door there 23 Switch 2s with the Mario Kart World bundled. I think it was 9 without. I can't remember. I took a picture and stuff. And I thought, clearly most people are going to want this with the Mario Kart bundle. What's going to be a good way to put this down? Oh, are we going to live dangerously? Oh, yeah. Probably not a good idea to balance the Red Bull on the computer, but oh boy, I don't know about that. At any rate, I thought, okay, what's the plan, GameStop? They said we're opening at noon. And I thought, I'm going to need to show up about 90 minutes early. Overslept and got there 25 minutes before opening. I was 10th in line, chatted with the guys around me. Everybody was about 30 to 50. And everybody seemed pretty chill and cool, and they were fans of the Switch, and they told me things aren't on sale ever. Platinum Hits is a bygone era. And I'm just like, look, I missed out on the Switch generation and the GameCube and the Wii and the Wii U. So there's a lot of back catalog that is appealing to me because now it runs at a higher frame rate at a high resolution in many cases. So yes, it would have been great if Nintendo would bundle the Zelda games. Hey, Switch to Zelda, bundled together, the two adventures. That would have been great. But instead they said, no, let's sell it at an even higher price. Maybe something will give. Maybe there will be an ambassador program like there was for the 3DS, the last Nintendo I had, that I picked up at launch, that I went to GameStop, that very GameStop on the night of the launch to pick up Street Fighter 4 3D edition. I will probably, at possible, only because Mario Kart World was essentially $50 instead of $80 with the bundle. That would be the only one I would buy digital. The rest of the Nintendo first party stuff, I would probably be more inclined to get on a card. I don't know if I'm going to need an expansion card because I'm probably going to really stick to just the Nintendo first party library here and there. And then as I beat the games, probably sell them back to GameStop or something. But it's probably the most economical way to go about it. Not really liking what they're doing with the third-party support. The game key card stuff is going to have no value when they shut down the store, the Switch 2 store and whatever, unless that's somehow kept alive in perpetuity. But I did kind of get suckered into the GameStop branded carrying case. They just showed us some SKUs and some barcodes at the front there. People are like, yeah, Mario Kart World, I'll have the 1 terabyte card. And I'm like, well, let's just keep it simple. Mario Kart World bundle. The camera was sold out. The official Nintendo camera sold out. Now you could get the Piranha camera that's 480p. And then you'll have to hack that yourself to make it feasible. From Hori, I can't believe they would do that. I saw somebody actually had a better looking camera idea with the Lakitu guy with the cloud, and he had like the film roll thing. That would be a camera right there. That'd be an appropriate camera. I'll get to you guys' questions in just a sec here. I think that I'm not getting the Nintendo branded carrying case that they said I was, because there's 2 carrying cases. You want the carrying case with the screen protectors or the one without? And I'm like, well, that's a Nintendo branded one without. Yep. And I'm pretty sure at the $25 price, it's actually GameStop's, and it's more of a universal thing. Like, it's the Switch and the Switch 2. How could that be possibly true? So I'm going to have to go back in there and be like, yeah, about that $5 down on that carrying case. Can we kind of like just put that towards the rest of the system? It was great having a $50 deposit. And then I can go back up there and start rattling off $20 Visa gift cards and get that situated. I think that, yeah, everybody was chill in line. I'm not expecting any serious drama come June 5th. It's a chill town. There's not, there probably isn't going to be any security. I've seen people that had to wait 3 hours and they had massive lines. I've had no news, no text comments or any of the such saying your order got canceled or anything like that. So, not, yeah, pretty drama free, really. And it was nice having like a chill crowd. Outside of picking that up, I guess the next big possible midnight release thing could be a GTA 6. I wonder though if people would just be more inclined to pick that up digital. You'll probably get the digital uh, purchase of that sooner. Nowadays, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to wait a few weeks to do the physical copy. Really screw over the people that don't just give us the money up front forever. We don't want you being able to sell the stuff on the black market, right? Used. So yeah, that's what I did. I'm looking on eBay and I'm seeing that the Switches, some people asking like 850. It looks like one sold for 850 on eBay. I might be inclined to just list it and see if someone strikes 900 or something. Just, it would make you feel bad to be that guy that scalps the consoles, but to know how hard the companies have made it to get this stuff and how they've made a fiasco of it, you kind of feel a bit like you're striking back, maybe. So let's get to the comments here. I have endometriosis. No idea what that is. Talk about that. How could I? Little white bulldog. It did not want to look back at your rig. By you're clueless, and you spelled "you're" the wrong way. Okay, so a little white bulldog. It did not want to look at your. I don't know what did this lady have. She got in a car wreck because a bulldog didn't look across the street. Kind of a weird deal. I actually have skipped Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and I'll tell you why. Had a pretty decent time playing with a friend of mine. He was on PlayStation 4, I'm on Series X. We had some communication over the phone. The connection wasn't terrible, and that was during the beta. I kind of got to play the characters I wanted to play already for the most part. And the price they're asking, it was like $65 after tax, and that gives you the season 1 characters to be added, which would include Ken, which would include Chun-Li. I like the concept of the lane switching to be able to hop back and forth 2 lanes in the fighting, so you actually have a bit of a dodge in your 2D fighting game. Before Tekken, or maybe not before. Well, it's kind of 3D. You had 3D and minimal ability to affect the plane you were kind of working with in Virtua Fighter, which I feel like they waited way too long to implement like true sidestepping when you're going to have a 3D fighting environment. I'm trying to think if the original DOA, you had a lot of say on that or not. But it just seems like it's a pretty steep game for how it plays for me. It plays a little bit like Street Fighter 6, where you have the modern fighting simplified combos that are ready to rattle off, but they don't cap off with your like super, right? So no matter how you chamber your gears system, you got the hidden gear. Like the coolest move is not an easy button press, and it just doesn't come across as terribly intuitive. And I actually pulled that off with so I kind of feel like I've accomplished like the best thing I could do, and that was in the beta. The system is so convoluted with trying to, in a perfect window, you can only do your cool move at a certain amount on your life gauge. So you have to think, do I want to do that near the start of the fight? If I was able to build to have enough ability or whatever, and then you have this burnout, you have this whole gauge is dictating so much about the fighting. It's like you're fighting your inner demons and then the opponent that's across from you. So it just seems like it's too complicated. I think that the game will probably have a quickly dissipating player base, that people will be walking away from City of the Wolves to something simpler that has a bigger base. Some people seem to be thinking, oh, they got a plug at WrestleMania. WrestleMania brought me here, people are saying in the Xbox store. And that's cool if you think that kind of way. But if you don't have much more beyond, we have some characters coming and some kind of ranking system, it seems like Street Fighter 6 had a lot more happening. This like sort of active battle pass to keep checking in, a number of events, weird costume stuff for your avatar. A lot of people can get into that, taking your avatar into the open world and doing activities, missions and stuff. As strange as that is to kind of put Final Fight in Street Fighter, it works in rounding out Street Fighter. You don't have near that amount of content in City of Wolves. If it went down to half price, I could see myself getting in, because I do have that modded fight stick want to put to use. So, we got any more questions coming in? Don't think I'm going to have guests for a bit. Just been actually trying to guest on other people's stuff. Jason Whitlock, Fearless, one of my more preferred podcasts to listen to. He does a live stream on YouTube in the morning at 10 a.m. And really the star of the show is Steve Kim. I like the dynamic of these guys that used to be on ESPN kind of slinging the dirt, with ESPN catching some strays. And they've got, oh, I can't tell you all about Shannon, but let me tell you about that Shannon Sharp. You like them snow bunnies. And then here comes the news. We got Shannon Sharp. Is he out? I'm going to have to look this up here. How sturdy is that boy? Is Shannon Sharp out of commission here? I'm going to have to pull up some news. It said he was stepping away. Is he fired from ESPN or has he left permanently? I've only seen the headlines. Shannon Sharp on the verge of getting that one of those coveted $100 million contracts. Nope. Yeah, you had gone to get yourself in trouble. Stepping away from ESPN amid $500 million sexual assault lawsuit. So here's the story from Yahoo Sports. Shannon Sharp stepping away from ESPN amid $50 million sexual assault lawsuit. New allegations of incident at FS1. In a statement Thursday, Sharp called the allegations in the lawsuit false and disruptive, and added that he plans to return to ESPN ahead of the... Okay, so look, I've been trying to keep up with the people that are just do all the muckraking and the lying and stuff. I've been listening to Candace Owens, who kind of exposed herself just the other day, talking about Prince. And, you know, it's weird. You got these black guys, they speak up against the industry and then they die. Yeah, Michael Jackson, Prince. I wasn't a huge fan of Prince, but I remember as a little kid, we listened to Raspberry Beret, her words, which means clearly she didn't listen to the song, but in trying to lie and say she did, made herself look stupid, which is not hard for Candace Owens to do. With that said, she is going around today saying that Shannon Sharp was fired, or he wants to be fired without cause so that he can get a huge contract stuff. And the reality is, it looks more like he's stepping away temporarily here. Electing to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. He's not even there every day of the week. I think he's there like 2 days a week for First Take. I think. And to be there by the preseason, so he'll be back in a few months, really. Yeah, stepping away from ESPN for a few months. This is not an exit. Candace Owens is calling this. I called it. They've come up with a solution for him to leave. He's done with ESPN, she's saying. That doesn't really look like the case. So, yes. Isn't it great how the people with the biggest audience do most of the lying? That's really awesome stuff. I think that either him or her side, whoever this broad is, so I guess she's like 24 now, met her at 19. He's in his 40s at the time. Already pretty weird. But as she was recording conversations with him, wants to leak stuff, won't do it for 10 million. And either, I think he might have proposed the 10 million or her side did. And somehow that deal fell through and that he wanted to go ahead and pay the 10 million hush money. The weird thing about the hush money is it seems like even when paid, people don't stay hushed. Therefore, if you actually work this out with lawyers, shouldn't it be the case that the people who break the hush money then have to go to prison for breaking it? Like, then how clear is the hushing that $10 million gets you? Just seems kind of weird. New to here says, yo, hey, we're talking about Shannon Sharpe. So Shannon, I felt like was a clown over on opposite Skip Bayless. Skip over on Fox Sports 1. He was the hired gun clown brought in to refute whatever claim Skip Bayless had, because the embrace debate narrative means you got two guys on the show. One guy's going to pick the position and the other guy has to take the opposite. And so Shannon Sharpe, even though Skip Bayless is quite frequently wrong, was always there to play the clown opposite Skip Bayless. Venturing away from that, he has shown that he can shine. He's a good listener, brings out some intriguing aspects in guests hosting a podcast. He has fun things to say. The Lakers in 5. Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka, Lakers in 5. I'm trying to co-op that myself with Thunder in 5 over on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. It's right there at Von Fry. You don't got to call it X. No one does. And I think Shannon, let's see, they say $50 million contract, but the word is might have been closing $100 million. Oh yeah, sure, you got $10 million to pay. As some black podcast was talking yesterday saying, oh, that $10 million, that was just for the pimp. The girl wanted her money too. That this was a setup all along. That they were looking for a rich guy to trap with this snow bunny. And they got themselves a whale over here, an ESPN talent. Don't put it past people for these kind of elaborate setups, man. They know he's going to be in a gym. They can position some things here and there. It could happen. So, do you think Shannon Sharpe was set up from the get-go? Is he guilty or innocent? Will we see much of a trial? Does this go to trial? Does this work out in the fashion it does against Deshaun Watson, where I think that the attorney defending her is the guy who went up against Deshaun Watson, and this might be more of a grab to get more names on the lawsuit. It's not just this girl, it's 30 other girls. Now tell me they're lying, right? Because the public's kind of shown that the believe all women thing, they're not too keen for it when it's believe one woman, but when it's like a couple dozen or more, then they're like, nope, you got to believe them now. And then then they're ready to turn against you. So if you know 24 girls, you're probably screwed. If you know 24 girls and you win the lottery, then the believe all women crowd will climb up on you for sure, right? There's not much you can do about it. Actually, I probably could lower this, make that a little easier to read. Yeah, no, that's what we're talking about right there. I don't know why I had that up so high. I think because I had that going vertical. Oh, yeah. What else is happening? Let's see. We got Shannon Sharp. I pre-ordered the Switch. Not playing City of the Wolves. You guys, let me know. You guys got some questions. Feed them to me here. I'm going to have myself a drink. I better see some questions. I think this is looking pretty good with this filter I picked up from, I think I have it behind there. K&M, I think, makes the filter. I think it's kind of made the skin tone a little bit better balanced in the weeks I've been doing this. I think so. It looks really good in the camera's LCD. Rebranding Twitter was impractical at best, says Nuda here. It was symbolic to say it was no longer an SJW headquarters. Yes, to some degree. I think a lot of things have failed over at X. Have you tried using the search function on that site? Not simply clicking on a topic, but searching. There'll be things where it's like, oh, what was that thing I said? At Von Fry, and then some of the keywords, and it won't pull up what you posted. It's like all the stuff you're looking for doesn't matter. Instead, look at this more viral post that we can attach ads to, that some creator gets some kind of compensation from. Go look at that instead. And that's the failure of search engines. All the search engines are garbage now, because there are things that you know exist and you're typing in the title of them and everything, and it says, no, go over here instead because it's more profitable. Case in point, in talking about the dystopian reality depicted in commercials, we have a Facebook ad, some redheaded girl, she's got a black boyfriend, husband, and they have a dog. It's a Facebook ad that is animated, that even earlier this month was still advertised on the front page of YouTube. Cannot find it. I simply know it exists because I had screenshotted it for reference later, and you can't find that video. You go to Facebook's YouTube channel, they haven't posted a video in 3 years, which has got to be BS also. You can type about it into an AI that has no idea what you're looking for. Instead, it recommends how to make ads for Facebook. You can type it into a search engine, and it just acts like this thing has been scrubbed from the internet. You can try. Look, today had a falling out with Angel Reese. Okay, and I don't know why. Let's see if I can get this to work here. Oh, hell. Angel Reese blocked me on X, and I don't know why. And in typing at Von Fry, at Angel, 10 Reese or something, whatever her name is, on there, her handle, can't find an interaction. It won't pull up a conversation we had, or her possibly seeing something I said about her rebounding skills or something. It won't do that. I can't get this to work on Google. So yeah, but I know I must have said something good at some point, and may have said something about how she gets a lot of rebounds from all the missed shots, but you can't find that on X. You can't search my handle and Angel Reese and find these posts. Instead, it'll be something completely unrelated that just comes up that had more likes, that had a bunch of retweets and whatever. And that's what they want you to look at. And it just seems weird to break your own system. Wouldn't that cause people to gravitate towards sites that work, that function the way they're supposed to? Or are we just all in on, oh, my side uses this, so I can't go over there? Can we assume that, what is it? I call it Blue Ski, but it's, I think they like to call it Blue Sky. Does their search function work? Because if it does, people may be thinking, I'm kind of getting tired of search not working over here. Let's go check them out. Could happen. New to here. Gab is supposed to be one of the search engines not so co-opted by liberals. Are you going to watch the Until Dawn movies? So about that, I thought like a year ago, I saw some article about best video game adaptations, and it mentioned Until Dawn, as if that movie came out already. Is there a sequel around the corner? Was this like a streaming movie on a service I don't have? It was not something I've heard about. And am I wrong, or did that start as like a Sony game or something? I'm trying to think here. Until Dawn. Is that a horror? It says PlayStation. Is that a horror style thing? 2025. Was this thing postponed? April 25th. So it comes out today. And I'm just now hearing about it. $15 million budget. So we have pretty much no stars. Yeah, do I know these people from anything? Oh, this girl that was in Hellraiser, the Hellraiser reboot remake on Hulu. She's third build, I guess. Peter Stormare, man. Yeah, when you're down to like throw in somebody we can get, Peter Stormare, fine. Not really pulling star power. Sony Pictures releasing. But I haven't played the game, survival horror sort of games. Is this like a I don't know, is it more of a cinematic horror game, like interactive story, or is it an asymmetric one versus the group, or Resident Evil Light? I don't know. I'm really not too familiar with them. I've done a bad job of watching the horror game movies because I still have not seen the two Silent Hill, because I kind of think I need to play through the games first and then the movies. One would affect the way you look at the other, wouldn't it? Would I maybe just be better off just go, it's going to be less time to just watch the two movies and be like, I'm caught up? Like, that could be one way to do it, right? So, yeah, and it's kind of bad pod to pull this up without you guys seeing what I'm looking at, but yeah, not much there. What else do we have? I have no clue that I've got a... Hold on. It is called Blue Sky. I prefer to call it Blue Ski. Did you sing Blue Sky Summon Skycast? Hi, Von Fry. I have no clue how that got on the list. You have no clue how that got on the list? Trailer reaction for the film? Oh, you want to do a trailer reaction? Are you Reese? Of course not. Are you Angel Reese? Yeah. Hey, we could do a trailer reaction, sure. Ask me where I live. Ask Skycast where Skycast lives. Then what list are you? I've seen this populated list that, okay. Are people like not speaking English well today? Like, what is this? It was like this last week too. Let's do a trailer reaction, shall we? If we have this working. So I don't know. Going in totally blind as heck over here. But I may have a tough time changing the. This isn't going to be the best trailer reaction. It may not be able to go full screen here. What was the name of it again? It has such a forgettable name. Until Dawn. Okay. Until Dawn movie trailer. And we'll try to Sony Pictures Entertainment 2 months ago. Try to do this in a way in which it doesn't have an ad in front of it, and we'll give this a go here. All right, so this is going to be the best I can do for you right now. May have to rework the layout I have over here for these lives. Try to, I don't know, try to work out something a little bit better. But yeah, this should pick up. I can't die again. Must be very video game like. Like we have to play multiple games. Sounds like Peter's voice. Is rewinding time a mechanic in this game? Yeah, that's the wasted chick from the Hellraiser. Why does everything have to bark and howl instead of actually attack? Crawl backwards faster. Being a Sony film, you almost expect this to end up on Netflix or Stars. That's where their stuff tends to hang out. I've seen worse trailers. There's not a lot to say when it comes to trailers, if we're being real. I think the best trailers are fairly vague, and that was vague and enticing enough, but it might have been a little too fast paced to be outright scary to build the suspense, but you don't know enough of what's going on, and that's probably for the better, right? So no, cast here is using speech to text, talking past each other. Is in this game there isn't time rewinding, so then why would that be the big selling point of the movie? Is the time rewinding Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day for the group. And I guess whoever cracks the code, their buddies might have died that day, and then be like, oh shoot, we can't go back and get them. Just the final girl. We'll talk about final girls in just a sec here. There is a different trailer. It's better than this one. Criminy, sorry. Mainly just cutscenes, speed change. I think just watched the trailer that had all the crappy music. It had the very generic, we're doing a horror movie trailer. Doong, doong, ding, ding, like chime of the clock sort of stuff. Speaking of final girls, let's pull something up over here. Friday the 13th, The New Blood, part 7. The final girl of that movie died. Says here, how can we get that up? Yeah, Lar Park Lincoln. says Knots Landing and Friday the 13th actress dead at 63. I don't think that they had a cause of death, did they, or no? Other news, A24's Friday the 13th prequel series gets major filming update from creator. Oh, goody. Dead at 63. She was the girl who could go toe-to-toe with Jason Voorhees because it was like she was the off-brand Carrie, that she had the telekinesis powers. And it kind of made for a relatively fun, more memorable entry than how I felt like so many of them you just couldn't tell apart. But you can't get a good version of this movie. And I'm not saying much of why here, but there doesn't actually exist like a good cut of part 7 because it was hard edited down for censorship to get to. I guess they were so worried about going over an R rating with the violence that so much of the kills happen like off camera or out of frame. Terry Kaiser, Weekend at Bernie's, he gets killed by like a weed whacker saw blade type thing. Like, we didn't want to give Jason a chainsaw, so we have a blade at the end, and it's like, no, it's coming for me. And it's like off frame. I don't know. It's like cropped super tight. And I guess they did a really good job, a very convincing job with the blood effects, and that shit's not in the damn movie. So, and there is no version that includes any of that. So it's completely lost to time. Unless maybe one day, like Metropolis, it turns out somewhere in Brazil, there's a vault where they were keeping this, right? So, could happen, but I would rule it out, to be real with you. Made a huge mistake clicking on that New York Post. It just started pop-ups of all kinds of garbage. But yeah, that's final girl news right there. I think they are trying to use a mechanic like how you have multiple lives in video games. It seems like that. Now, I thought it would be funny to do that in a game movie. Like if there was a Battletoads movie and the characters simply repeatedly died and no one questioned it. Or if there was a Grand Theft Auto movie where characters glitch weird and they have crazy long arms sometimes and then sometimes they don't, but the characters in the world don't give it any care. Or you had a guy who was like Kenny from South Park who just repeatedly died and then inexplicably was back the next day. Like, I would find that some joy in that. They're making these game movies now, but they're not really utilizing the things that truly make games unique. The glitches, the bugs, saving, loading, like the things that happen in games when they're thinking we could lean a little more schlock and a little more niche gamer. They don't actually take that stuff into consideration, and that's really surprising. Even Ang Lee's Hulk in 2003 had comic book-like panels for transitions. And man, the Marvel Cinematic Universe sure won't touch that. They won't be so daring. Are we afraid to get more daring with video games? We have supposedly a Street Fighter movie coming. If I had to take a stab at it, I would think Jean-Claude Van Damme would be in it. That he would be available, work cheap, lend some kind of name to it, and would be there for the lulz. And would have some kind of joke character about him. Or maybe he's the original Guile, and the Guile you know in the movie was like his nephew. There could be a thing like that. Don't rule it out. That would be one where the first film, 94, leaned camp. What if we go a different direction with the Street Fighter game movie and had it lean into the nuances of Street Fighter, and you'd have the win quotes, right? You'd have crossover attacks. You'd have people talking about like cancels and things. And there could be weird English. Oh, you must defeat Shenlong. And it's like, who's Shenlong? It's like, huh? What? No, you said Shenlong. No, I didn't. Like, there could be aspects about this. Would they be so daring? Because it seems like they don't take any kind of gamble with any of stuff anymore. Will I try the other trailer? No. Because we did one and I'm already like, it's not the worst trailer. I'll tell you new to here. If I would look, I have Stars and I have Netflix. Netflix has a very superior picture quality when it comes to the Sony stuff. Like Craven the Hunter is actually a 4K HDR on Netflix. They don't present it that way on Stars. Stars is a bit cheaper. They cap at 1080p. A lot of times it looks worse than that. If it comes to Stars or Netflix, preferably Netflix, probably will review. Okay? Because it does look a little interesting. I don't really want to get to spoiling too much on my end. I would, like Roger Ebert before me, would prefer to see a movie blind. Like, just, hey, sit down. We're starting a movie. Not even tell me what it is. Let me figure this thing out. He mentioned, I think, in on his on-air review, probably opposite Roper for Monster, how he was surprised to learn after watching the movie that I'm buying time here to try to remember the blonde chick's name, big time star Charlize Theron, that she was the main character, and that's a good way to do it. Don't even tell me yet who's going to be in the movie, because then I'm going to be looking for them and be like, oh, well, it can't be over yet because this guy had, it says and Lawrence Fishburne, so he's got to show up at some place, right? So things like that, right? Andrew, you going to become a channel member, Andrew? Come on now. Have I not treated you well? Friday the 13th, Part 7 was the only time Jason Voorhees met his match, and Jason wasn't trying to kill Tina. He was trying to figure out what she was. He couldn't sense her like he could a normal human. I have that movie on DVD. Bought it in college at the KU bookstore. You can't, well, or the movie air place in the student union. I don't remember what it was called, but been a while since I watched. I think Part 7 streams. Sometimes these are on Paramount Plus. Sometimes they get yanked. I wish all this shit would stay in one cohesive place. But Part 7 is a fair bit more memorable than others. There was a lot of dumb things happening where it's like, I don't know if he's dead yet. Let me walk over there and look. Like, sort of shit like that, right? Things like that happen aplenty. Why did you change the name of your channel? Because Legendary Badass just sounds cool. That was the OG channel name. Been my nickname since 2003. I have legendarybadass.com, the domain. Was my gamer tag and all this stuff, and it can be spelled in plain English. I've got the cool donkey with the SMG and the SNES controller. I mean, what more could you want? Saw your response to Despot of Antrim. Thought it was a decent. I do try to do a decent. Just thought the bad trailer was bad. Intro to the film was all. But I get you. Yeah, I will look for that. Not going to pay money to go see it. Let's assume it flops and is streaming within a month or something, okay? So, and don't be afraid to hit me up and remind me when that's coming around, streaming and stuff, so that I can try to mark that down. I got some new stuff to show you. Can I reach that? I got an unboxing from Vinegar Syndrome. I've already shot the unboxing, but why don't I show you guys some of the stuff? I think I can get up and grab this without not. I did get that stain out last week, but let me tell you, Grape Celsius and carpet are not friends. Okay. I had to knock over something, but it was just a lens cap. Okay, what do I have here? Okay, so this is what I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome. I don't think I have the display case, but yeah, I've still got that in a box. But first up, and I did watch this already the other night, Drop Zone from 1994. Yeah. Gary Busey, no longer content with being the best pal FBI agent who stays on the ground. Now he gets to take to the air. And this is a special release from Vinegar Syndrome. Now, not a steelbook, but a thick, very thick and kind of intricate collectible type thing. Though, don't you find it kind of weird how they've got this tape that we kind of just put like a sticker over here? You're kind of thinking, oh, so we're holding the box together with these stickers over our artwork. So you paid extra for the limited edition with the slipcover and a kind of messed up sticker. Now, if I take that off, I could probably actually remove that. I could probably actually pull this away and still have a box here. This looks pretty removable. Individually numbered, limited edition. Oh, goody. Inside, we've got our movie. It's still in my Xbox, so the 4K disc, not really there, but we also have a booklet. We got a little booklet included in here. So this is like a pretty cool, smells very, very posh book case. And I guess from their Cinematograph label, this might be the kind of treatment you expect. And then you kind of jam this back in here, and then you've got a way to pull this back out down here. All right, that kind of worked. All right, so that is Drop Zone. Now, you guys let me know which one of these I should watch tonight, okay? I've got two, I think these are both Japanese films, okay? We've got An Eye for an Eye. And this is their Vinegar Syndrome special edition thing. It's got a very cool looking new artwork box. Let's pull this out. So this is a Blu-ray. There's supposed to be some pretty cool knife fighting or something in here. Something about a Yakuza daughter police commissioner thing. Maybe witnesses a murder or something happens. I honestly don't want to know too much. But, I try to pick up something that's not streaming somewhere so that I can be a little surprised. I think both of these I'm going to have to read me some subtitles, though. Then we've got Lifeline. Now, that movie was from 91. This is from, 97. And this is a 4K. Said, from what people are saying, some of the best firefighting action. And, being 97, a lot of it's going to be, practical. Here's a look at that box again. A lot of practical effect fire stuff. I find that pretty appealing when you think about how trash CGI fire is today. Bad Boys, what was it? Ride or Die had some pretty garbage fire, CGI fire, in it wasn't a light budget. So, just considering that kind of has you thinking, you know what? Let's see how real fire looks. And I'll tell you this. When it comes to HDR, watching fire is probably the coolest thing. Lasers and fire look the best. Now, I am kind of wrestling with how to go about this. Let me clear space over here and put this stuff away. I don't know what kind of settings to work with here. I recently watched Fifth Element and I did a commentary, and that'll go up next week. And I was talking about how grainy it is. And my problem is I'm watching Drop Zone. It's from 94 and it looked grainy and I wasn't sure what if the colors were working right. So I turned off contrast enhancer, which does some muting of the colors, but really tones down the grain in scenes with the higher amount of film grain. If you turn off contrast enhancer, you'll get closer to looking like a Blu-ray kind of color space that will mitigate some of the grain instead of it being too distracting. But is the ideal setting to have that off or not? Because if you're watching something that is uploaded in YouTube in HDR on an iPhone, it will automatically play it in like Dolby Vision and it'll really blow out the whites and stuff. And you'll have like super bright phone. And the Sony elsewhere in the house, the Sony, oh gosh, what was it? Did a video. PR8, I think it was an 8. Is it XR8 or something? Oh shit. It has Dolby Vision, and when you watch like Gladiator 2, it's going to have by default the high contrast setting on, and it'll look pretty damn good. And I haven't come across anything looking like that should be turned off. On my game room studio LC, oh wait, what is it? Samsung L90C, SS90C. It doesn't have Dolby Vision. And I think maybe you're not supposed to have contrast enhancer on. Maybe that contrast enhancer, like motion smoothing, the anti-judder, all that trash that gives you the soap opera effect, is that one of those assistant tools that you're also supposed to turn off? Because most things I watch, especially if it's particularly modern, I think will look better with the contrast enhancer on. And that probably applies to if it's not shot on film. Because shot on film, you're going to get a lot of grain. But if you turn the contrast enhancer off and you watch something, that wedding thing with Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell on Prime Video, there's scenes interior in there that I know they try to shoot and master Dolby Vision, and I have no idea what colors things are supposed to look like inside that house, the house in which everyone's getting together for this wedding. It's like, is it supposed to be black as night in here with no lighting? Or is there supposed to be some kind of red? Like, it's so confusing. You would have to know movies front and back to then judge watching them what kind of setting something needs to be. And even if you did, a lot of people end up miscalculating the Matrix, thinking it had a green hue to it because they added that stuff retroactively. I think for one of the DVD releases, or maybe it was on a Blu-ray release for the Matrix, things turned green to try to match the color palette of the sequels. So what do you think? Which of those movies do I watch? The Firefighter or the Lifeline with the firefighters, or An Eye for an Eye with the, I don't know, Triad Yakuza revenge thing? So I'll watch one tonight, grab some ice cream. I need to get some more Himalayan salt. That really goes well with the popcorn. I watched Friday the 13th, Part 7 in 1988 at 12 years old. Oof. You didn't say in theaters, though. I watched it. I have probably one of those Friday the 13th marathons in the mid-90s on USA, where they would put a bunch of the movies together, but it would never be necessarily the ones you wanted. It was typically more a case of We'll give you, which ones would they give you? Maybe 3. No, maybe 3, 7, and 8. Like, it was weird. It was always like 7 and 8 for sure. Maybe it was 2, 3, 7, 8. Like, it was not a line all the way through for certain. 7 and 8 were definitely there. Pretty sure 3 would get thrown in. It wasn't 4. It damn sure wasn't the first one. But that's what they would have for their Friday the 13th marathon. From memory, The Matrix had a bluish hue about it in the first time I saw it. It did have a more natural but desaturated look. In versions more recent, they've changed it greenish. But I don't think most people have picked up on that. Dan, I'm sure you're aware that Terminator 2 has ended up greenish in its 4K release, whereas that movie really pulled off the cool blue look that so many others were trying to copy. But yeah, I'm going to watch one of those 2 releases there tonight. Not sure if I want to do ice cream or popcorn. The problem with doing the popcorn and watching is, like I said, I'm out of pink Himalayan salt. And you really have to have that fine-grained salt for popcorn. It does not work. The big crystals from typical table salt shake off. New to here is back. New to here, as the only subscriber in the visible, which do you want me to watch tonight? Not that I've got a lot going on right now. Probably won't get to a video on these particularly soon. Don't know, but you want the Firefighter movie that's 4K, or the, why did I put it down there like that? An Eye for an Eye. Girl, I think witnesses a crime. Knife fights. Which is it, yo? Which are we doing? Oh boy, what am I messing up? Oh, Daniel, I was going to ask you something about Australia. Oh, hey, is In Excess like huge still in Australia? Like, do people listen to like New Sensation and Kiss the Dirt? Just wondering. I was actually listening to that on YouTube about an hour ago, well, before doing the stream here, yeah. It's like Criterion's release of Memories of Murder by Bong Joon-ho. I've never looked up how to say that, but I'm probably saying it right. It has this sickly Fincher tint about it. The original Korean release is natural in its colors and its preferred release. All right, An Eye for an Eye it is. USA Network had, back in the day, the easiest to edit Friday the 13th, parts 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, because editing didn't take away from. So why didn't they have 4 and 5? And Andrew, you might be right. Maybe they did do 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. But I'm almost certain. Actually, you know what? They might have done 5. 5 might have been there, but maybe not 6. But 4 was not in the lineup. They wouldn't do 4 for some reason. And I'm beginning to think maybe 3 wasn't one that would play in the marathon either, because that was a 3D thing. But no, surely it did, because I do recall seeing how he was hanging in the barn and she had to go to the van and it had an auxiliary fuel tank and shit. So 4 and 5 had too much swearing and stuff. They had a lot more other than swearing to edit out. But I thought for sure that I've seen the way that not Jason died, and then they're kind of like implying that maybe Tommy's the new Jason, or there was some aspect. I don't think that happened in 6. I'm trying to remember it the way I saw it, not the way that I've seen them lately, but the way I watched on USA in the 90s. Trying. Will you cancel the pre-order of Switch 2? No. But I will possibly put it up on eBay. And if somebody wants to strike like 900, then who am I to say no? Right? I have ordered from Amazon an alternative case to review. There is a company that wants to send me a dummy Switch unit along with their case and their proprietary screen protectors, and it looked pretty legit, email and stuff. And so they want me to like show you guys how easy it is to use theirs, and if their case looks pretty good and stuff, I might compare it to the one that I'm reviewing from Amazon Vine. But I think I will cancel the order on the GameStop case because their travel case fits the Switch and the Switch 2. If that's the case, it can't fit it very well. It was just more of a generic thing. So I don't need that. I thought that I was getting a Nintendo one, just sans screen protectors. And if that turns out not to be the case, and we're like, hold up now, you lied to me. You said it was a Nintendo branded protective case. So we'll see here. Spike TV's debut had the Jason marathon of all 8 movies and even a cool segue with Jason running marathon. By the time Spike TV was branded Spike TV, Freddy vs. Jason would have existed. Jason X would have existed. Damn sure Jason Goes to Hell would have existed. So what did they do with those? And the last thing I really recall playing much on Spike was a bunch of Star Wars. They would spend there'd be several weekends a year where they would just marathon 6 Star Wars movies. Just be like, that's the way it's going to be, you know? But man, and then really the last thing I watched over there would be Bar Rescue. Andrew, you're gonna come with all these questions. I need to see some channel membership dough. Come on now. Vaughn, what's the worst movie? The Predator 2018. Oh boy. Prometheus. Oh boy. I've seen The Predator once, or did I do a commentary on that? I didn't, did I? I don't think I got to there. That's crazy. How do I not remember that? Let me type in Predator, try to refresh my memory. Maybe I did. Yeah. Last Dog, man, okay, so here's the thing. The movies that are traumatizingly bad enough, you have a hard time remembering. I've seen Prometheus enough times to remember what had me so cringe with it. The Predator, I have no inclination of watching again. It's a real toss-up. Both of them, probably both of those are the nadir of the series, respectively. I am inclined to say that both series have been rescued by like the same guy. I know a lot of people are not high on Alien Romulus or Prey, but look at where they were, like what they were working with, right? And I think respectfully, those were pretty solid entries, all things considering. So, yeah, real toss up there. I actually thought Covenant was okay. No, Covenant sucked. But Predator Badlands looks like crap. I saw a still today, and it was supposedly a Predator, and people were saying CG, and I'm saying cheap rubber mask at best. I don't know much about Predator Badlands. Is that a series? Is that like a Hulu series, like how Alien Earth is a Hulu series? Spike TV had Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, and since they Paramount, so the first 8 Jason movies were cleared for okay, so Spike, TNN, the Nashville network became Spike. I think it was the Nashville network. And they just, when it was TNN, it was like NASCAR racing type things and fixing your truck. And here's some truck modifications. And then it became Spike, the first network for men or whatever they would say. I think that was the order. And then it became Paramount Network, home of Yellowstone. And I think the only holdover from Spike to Paramount Network is Bar Rescue. If not still, I don't know if there's surely there's more bars to rescue, right? Prey 2022 was great and Romulus was okay. I think anybody could say the inverse. There's probably people who preferred Prey over Romulus. They both strike a kind of like, I would say, happy balance of feeling related to the franchise without necessarily doing things to step on the toes of the good entries. No weird retcon about it. I think they did mismatch the pistol that is supposed to be given to is it Hartigan? Danny Glover's character there. Mentioning Gary Busey again here. I'm telling you, the guy's going to die soon. Gary Busey's been showing up way too much in the things I've been watching. He's got to be not long for this world. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, he's definitely a recent celebrity death guest over there. Gary Busey, guys, you heard it here. Predator Badlands is a movie. And it stars Elle Fanning. Oh, shit. Are you serious? Am I going to have to... we couldn't even get Dakota. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but when it comes to the Fannings, Dakota walks all over Elle. Film. Oh my... Oh, no. That can't be a real picture. Oh, you guys. Oh, this is not good. No. Oh, no. Guys, they're calling that a predator. Oh. Yeah. Ooh. That's all I need to see right there. We've made a sexy Viking vampire predator. And for the whatever crowd, shit. Damn Elle Fanning. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, we couldn't even get Dakota. What the funny hell? Steve Urkel of Predator franchise. Oh boy. Right, the writer-director is back for more, and co-writer Patrick Asen. So hold on. So who... What's the CinemaCon? Who... The writer-director is back for more. So is this the guy from Prey? We have Prey to thank for that. And Dan Trachtenberg's... Okay, so no, I think they actually had different... Sorry, they had different directors. So is this guy... The guy who made Prey is doing this one. The guy who made Don't Breathe did Alien Romulus. I think... Oh gosh, what was the guy's name who does the effects with the aliens? He was actually contacted I think he deleted his Twitter and I forgot his name, but he had the amalgamated design. And they broke off, and now he has his own effects studio, and he did some stuff with... He was like the supervisor for the practical effects in Alien Romulus. I thought it was kind of endearing how the like opening shot for Alien Romulus, I think it was the opening shot, where it goes to it's like a dramatic zoom in, like a dolly crane shot zoom in to the interior of the spaceship. obviously a miniature so that you can tell it's a miniature and be like, wow, it's a miniature, instead of the assumption that it's a CGI thing. So I thought that was actually kind of a cool touch. Man, this is rough. And you're telling me there's an Elle Fanning in here? Guys, are we doing a trailer reaction to this? It kind of looks like it, aren't we? Is this going to give me an ad? Are we finally fighting the Predator in the future? Hold on, maybe I need to go to the side here. Wait, maybe she's a synthetic person, an artificial person. Because we saw that eye thing happen with the guy, the synthetic in Romulus. Predator lightsabers. November 7. What a weird time. That's kind of bizarre, isn't it? What am I pushing here? November 7th. Does that strike you as what would have been an August dumping ground movie years back, pre I think around 2019, the late teens, we were extending decent movies into August, but for much of the 2000s, it was a dumping ground. The kids are going back to school, moving into college, put something in theater. That doesn't look to me like it has much hope. That looked pretty weak sauce. And what Elle Fanning is doing there, I couldn't tell you. Boy, that was not cool. Maybe that's spaced in a way where it'll be like we've concluded Alien Earth, and now we're ready to show you the Predator stuff. And perhaps there's a tie-in. So maybe we have say we have 6 weeks of Alien Earth getting released. We'll release 2 episodes, and then maybe make that 7 to try to give an 8-episode series type thing. And then that will have some kind of Easter egg about it to lead into the Badlands. It does look like finally the humans of the future are encountering the predators. So in the very least, it's adding to the mythos in some capacity. That's what I would say about that. All right. What else have we got? Oh, man, summer blockbuster season looks so bad. Do we have blockbusters? We have Thunderbolts and Lightning. Very, very frightening. Guys getting sacrificed so that Miljovic, the Weekend Updates guy's wife, forgot her name, Scarlett Johansson, she has to save them. Let's bring a bunch of guys in the crew so Scarlett Johansson has somebody to rescue. That's happening. Not counting on that making money. Will Jurassic World, whatever they're calling that, make more money than Jurassic Park 3? Perhaps. As a function of it now costs you $30 to go to a damn movie alone. I mean, that could have something to do with it, right? But am I mistaken, or are movies currently banned from playing in China? That would be a good thing. Terminator 2 Judgment Day makes $500 million in 1991 without playing in China. Not placating to some kind of weird Chinese agenda and shit. We could use some more of that. Independence. Back in the day, Andrew says. Horror movies came out in October. Remember the previews? If it's Halloween, it must be Saw. That was a 2004 release. And then every year at approximately the same time, they would have, and that went on for a while. Was that like an 8-year in succession thing? Could have been close to 9. It was pretty consistent for a while there. New to here says movies are trying to make a comeback but the engine continues to stall. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like every time we think, okay, maybe we found the winning formula, get the kids out of the damn theater, quit having them throw the popcorn at everybody, make the movies for adults but charge more money, guarantee them a quiet, luxurious seating position, and they'll be down for it. But then we also have to contend with incredibly short windows. We know things are going to be on whichever respective streaming service, so people will wait for that. And now you're paying so much for the streaming service, you don't have the money to go to the theater. If you're going to pay almost $30 for Netflix, at least you don't know for sure what's going to Netflix. But when you're paying about that price for Max, and you have a Warner Brothers DC thing coming out, and you know damn well that's going to the service you're paying for, you think, well, I'm already paying to watch it later, so I'm going to watch it later. They haven't really figured out that they're hurting themselves. What they've done is they have self-inflicted wounds. They're stabbing themselves in the back with their streaming service, eating away at the gross they needed in the theater, and now people have to cut cords and decide which streaming service they're going to go to because they don't want to have them all at once. But what do I know, right? So it's kind of crazy. Jurassic World Rebirth. Wait, that's the name they went with? 2025 might have been good without Scarlett Johansson. Even then, I don't know if I've done a trailer reaction to that or not, but I could try. Let's pull up YouTube's Jurassic Park Rebirth. I think I have. And if you want to get a copyright strike, this is the way to do it. Because I'm sure there's going to be some John Williams score in here to screw this shit up. I'm pretty sure I've already reacted to this. I think I've seen the trailer. I wouldn't have watched it otherwise. RS Matrix, Jurassic World Rebirth, more like Afterbirth. Yeah. Hold on. Let me pull up this for the reaction shot thing. Okay. So we're going to do this here. Zora. The color is all off. Did you see how blue shit was in that museum? Her talking voice. Shit. Wait, she's a doctor? But isn't she action chick in this movie? So which is it? And this is the guy that doesn't want to play Blade, right? He's trying to get out of that Blade contract. There's always a hidden facility for the original Jurassic Park, isn't there? Oh my God, that does not look like repelling. We're in a temple. Oh yeah, kick the pterodon. That'll work. See, I'm telling you, these guys, they're present so that she has somebody to rescue. Did he say Utah Raptors? Because the Utah Raptor is bigger than the Velociraptor. It's more like the Velociraptor they use in the movies, actually a Utah Raptor. Somebody's kid snuck aboard. Is that right? Does she have like an adopted daughter that got brought in? You know, I'll tell you, the dinos don't look bad. Yeah. Um, Maybe the dinosaur effects are still appealing enough to get some butts in seats because the way that plays out, it's always the case of it being like okay, look, we know we screwed up. We have Scarlett Johansson here, but it's a movie you have to see in theaters, right? Like, the plebs will really give you that you have to see it in theaters when it's like, okay, so how come I don't have to see a Julia Roberts rom com in theaters if it's in theaters? Then what's this have to scenario? Don't we all have amazing OLED TVs and surround sound and shit these days? Like, oh, but you have to see it on the big screen, right? Shit. Let's get through the comments here. 49 years old this year. I remember nearly every year getting a Jason movie, and it was always special. I watched part 8 and Jason Goes to Hell. Now, there was a bit of a wait between those, right? 8 is that 89? That's either 88 or 89, and Jason Goes to Hell is like 93. And the 2009 remake is I guess the only one I watched in theaters. And I'll tell you, got a commentary track here on the channel, but my audience had a hell of a time with it. I went to the midnight screening locally, small theater, not the best screen or any of that, but people laughed at stuff that was funny, and you know, it also had like a super effective cold opening that went on for like 20 minutes, and then it said the title in a way in which you forgot whether or not the title had been shown already, and people were cheering and shit. But the internet will tell you that's a bad entry. So, shit do I know, right? Can you blame him? Who would want to follow Wesley Snipes? That's right. Always bet on black. Mind you, Passenger 57, I have it on Blu-ray. Not available in 4K. Why? I don't know how this stuff works. It's weird. Worst thing about Utah Raptors is not that they eat you, it's that they want to discuss their savior, Jesus Christ. And that is a major time suck. Yeah. The scene where Scarlett lit the flare. No, that was the black guy lit the flare. Looked like a scene from a cheap Predator knockoff. I'm pretty sure it was the guy whose name I can't remember to pronounce, so we're going to call him Knotblade. I'm pretty sure that's the guy who lit the flare. Pretty sure. Vaughn, name any franchise that doesn't have cancer. Austin Powers, he's the man for you. The Austin Powers trilogy, as it stands, pretty unblemished. I can get down with the original for sure. The Spy Who Shagged Me was a big hit. Goldmember has some laughs. All of them pretty solid to me. Back to the Future, not much to complain about there. We have a saint in, is it Bob Gale? Who's the Bob? No, hold on now. Wait, what's the university? He's the guy who, I think it's the guy who the university is named after in the Indiana Jones movies. What's the shit? No, I'm thinking of like almost Georgetown or something. It sounds like university, but anyway, one of the producers of Back to the Future is stopping them from rebooting that and doing anything sacrilege. That's about it. Back to the Future, Austin Powers, everything else is just there to make some money, right? Oh, so you've seen the new Predator Oh, Jesus. Yeah, we just watched the Predator Badlands. Oh boy, it definitely leaves a lot of questions, and I think that's fine. It's better than having the whole movie play in the trailer. You're probably better off with a teaser trailer in this state than to see a trailer and know exactly how everything's going to end. But I'm thinking that Elle Fanning's character, she did the eye rolling thing, and I think that we saw that in the friendly synthetic in Romulus. So I'm thinking that's hinting that she's actually synthetic. That's my guess. Last movie I saw in theater was A Nightmare on Elm Street 20. The last movie you saw in a theater? And that was even before they shut all that shit down. They want to make an Austin Powers 4, though. That's the thing. Okay, so it was Bob Gale. I don't know if enough they really want to make Austin Powers 4, because you have Jay Roach directed all three of them. So then you'll end up with a scenario where it's like, what if somebody other than Michael Bay makes a Bad Boys? What if somebody other than Steven Spielberg does Indiana Jones? And also you got to think, does Mike Myers need the money? He's got Shrek money in conjunction with Wayne's World and Austin Powers money. He's pretty well set. It would be hard for him to look like Austin Powers anymore. We've seen him look not like Dr. Evil quite right in recent Super Bowl ad, I think for a GMC electric vehicle lineup. And I mean, you probably thought it was fine for an ad, right? Oh, well, that's a fun little callback ad right there. But I don't know if they're saying that or if they're sincere, but I think they've drug their feet surely long enough that they're not going to do it. And maybe tying Mike Myers up with some kind of Shrek activity will hopefully save Austin Powers from a bad fourth installment. That's my guess. Zemeckis and Bob Gale. I don't think it's Zemeckis that's holding that back. I think it's Bob Gale. Austin Powers 3 sucked. Goat junk. I liked it. I watched it recently. There are some aspects to it that I think really do work real well. The prison rap thing and the weird censorship for that is so funny. I was laughing my ass off in theaters watching 2 and 3. I missed the first one in theaters, but kids were talking about it in school. And I'm like, that can't be a real movie. Are you serious? Like, just describing the things that were happening was so funny. And you heard movies described like that funny in the 90s, like Dumb and Dumber. People would tell you about things that happened in Dumb and Dumber. And it's like, and then they sold the dead parrot to a blind boy. And I'm like, what? You know, and it was just, we'd laugh about it. And then I'd see the movie, right? So, not that we even have comedies these days, but suppose we did. Could you describe the jokes in a modern comedy to somebody and they would laugh? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Thank God they won't let Back to the Future movies get crapped on by Hollywood, SJW wokeness. No, but they will be willing to do a stage play, which I think, well, it's the happy compromise. It's removed from the canon. We can have some songs. You can win a Tony. You can make your money. So be it. But then I don't like seeing the musical version brought to the screen. Not even a fan of Mean Girls. But then we had a Mean Girls musical that was like even worse. It's it is just bizarre. It's like, why is the heavy girl the mean girl? And then she's not even aware that she's plus size, like the actress. And well, was any of the singing good? Was it funny? Like, shit's sake. He lost a lot of money on the Love. He couldn't have lost that much. Surely he got paid up front. The new Shrek looks potentially bad too. Uh Look, I did like me some Shrek 1 and 2, but I haven't seen much beyond that. And I know that the jokes work as reference to a time period that you're going to have to remember. So if you watch like a scary movie and they're doing the "What's up," and you don't remember that commercial, and or the Matrix crane kick thing floating in the air, the Shrek stuff relied pretty heavily on reference humor, and that was effective because it was the only CGI animated movie doing that. It's really leaning in on the reference stuff. So the pop culture reference material callback sort of gags. As that has become a little bit more of a cheap ploy commonplace, and as you move further away from the reference material, it's going to make things look dated. I would assume that a new Shrek would, mention TikTok and, go after all the usual suspects. I saw the first Austin Powers in the cheap theaters. It actually didn't do well until DVD sales. I know that was it produced by Demi Moore, I think. I think it was either her. Why am I thinking Sandra Bullock? One of the two were key producer to that. But yeah, if you look at the gross, it was a fairly cheap movie. It looks a lot cheaper than The Spy Who Shagged Me. But boy, did they get their mileage, and it was profitable. It just wasn't a smash hit. It wasn't like totally gangbusters like a Jim Carrey comedy. But it did pretty well and definitely picked up a stride on VHS and DVD, that's for sure. Vaughn, weird fact, Armageddon almost got a sequel, and they used some of the footage in Battleship where the Navy ships got hit and sank. No, I don't think so. Battleship. I think you might be confusing one of the Transformers for scenes repurposed CGI from Pearl Harbor, like keeping it within the Bay line of stuff. And also there are clips of the island chase sequence being like repurposed for chase sequence in Transformers 2007. So I'm not sure about that. Bad musicals turned into movies. Cats and Wicked. Why not combine the two, right? But at least those stayed musicals, right? Instead of let's make a hard drama sci-fi film out of Cats and make it like separate from the musical aspect. Not that that would have worked, but it would have given more credence to, well, since that didn't work, well, let's try again, right? They'd be itching to try again. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think New to Here is going to be back in a sec, so we'll wait for him to check back in here. Andrew, good night, everyone. Be safe and be good to each other. That's almost like something the Wild Stallions would say. Michael Bay almost made Armageddon 2, but it fell through because no one wanted to come back for a sequel. Well, you'd have a hard time convincing Bruce Willis unless they said Harry Stamper had an identical twin who could also drill. You'd have to do, you'd mention that, but Dottie, who, do I have that movie out? I had Drop Zone over here. The girl that flies the plane for the team in Drop Zone, she was Dottie, who the asteroid was named after in Armageddon. Curiously enough. Be excellent to each other and party on, dude. Speaking of part 3 movies that weren't oh yes. I don't even think that Bill and Ted Bogus Journey was that good, but 3, they kind of let their daughters take charge. At least their daughters, particularly Ted's daughter. Not that I've seen her in anything else. She channeled Keanu Reeves more so than that off-brand Barbie. Forgot her name. Samara Weaving, right? She's like the cheap alternative to the Margot Robbie. She was not Bill as much. It didn't seem, but yeah, that was not a sequel that needed to be made. Did they incorporate Rufus appropriately enough? They kind of had him as a hologram. I guess that's one way for the CGI and things not to look spot on. You could probably accept it. Death was the heart of Bogus Journey. Probably, it would be hard to say that he's a surprise breakout character, seeing as how it's like they realized that while making the movie and then seemingly gave him more to do. But then they had like Death turn on them. And then they had a falling out with their band. And then the whole realization that their band, the Wild Stallions, never really took off the way they expected. It wouldn't even be till years later, when they're washed up, that they become the big band that like saves the world. It's kind of weird. In fact, I disagree with the idea of the kids acting like Bill and Ted. You don't want them to act like Bill and Ted. Their wives, who I think were replaced each movie, they adopt, like, you couldn't tell they were like, what? Were they English or French princesses? Couldn't tell in this movie, right? I mean, they seem to have acclimated to American society pretty easily. The daughters kind of being like Bill and Ted, but maybe not as dumb in a lot of ways, right? I don't know. I'd almost have to see that again to refresh myself, but I don't want to. It's kind of one of those type of things. Nope, don't want them to act like, you don't want them to act like Bill and Ted. Well, shouldn't they have inherited some of their traits, or do you think that steps on the Bill and Ted character to have them replaced? Because there is like a glass half full, glass half empty way to approach this. So it's a matter of preference. They kind of replaced them, but it seemed like the dads still had plenty to do in their own movie. I wouldn't call this a scenario of, Disney Star Wars. The biggest problem with the third movie was the music. They're not clones, so they shouldn't have the personality traits. The music, I'm trying to remember what the songs even were. They had some catchy stuff even in the first film. Second film, but they're kind of like using wanted a Kiss song at the end. Then what did they have in much in the way of original music in the new one? That I'm not even sure. I don't even think they really tried that hard with the music. I think that Keanu Reeves did that as a favor to Alex Winter. Like, look, we know The Matrix, The Speed, John Wick, things are going pretty good for me. I'll throw you a bone here. You want to get back in the movies? Yeah, I can make something happen. So I think that's what they did. And so you could see that was much more of like Alex Winter's baby. Like, he probably has a much higher opinion of Bill and Ted than Keanu Reeves, my guess. I think that the first one's just a lot better than even the second, and I like how they stumble across the way to solve their conundrum with their senior presentation. I thought because that's a fairly unique story for a film. It was filmed during COVID times. I guess they needed something to do. Yeah, it released around about then, right? Was that like 2001 or something? Bill, Ted, Face the Music, 2020. I think that released straight to streaming or damn close to it. Budget, $25 million. Box office, 6.3. just kind of have a premium VOD. It was up on Hulu in pretty quick succession. Pretty sure. Oh, other franchises that are not bad after 3 installments. For the whole franchise, you got 3 installments and they're not bad. I know there was another one I made a list of that I was thinking, yeah, that's not a bad one to include, but I can't much recall what it'd be at this point. What do we have? 3 good installments and then they said we're done. Yo, okay, new to here's back, so I guess we can about wrap this up. And now Atticus Spadicus says he's here. Atticus, we've done 3 trailer reactions. Talked about buying a Switch 2 pre-order. Waiting on City of Wolves. And went through my Vinegar Syndrome unboxing. I'm about to watch a movie. I think it was voted that we watch this one. I'm going to watch this one tonight. So I'm going to have to read some subtitles. So definitely a good thing that I've got the Red Bull here so that I can stay up. But yeah, we're just now talking about trilogies that didn't suck. I guess oh yeah. Hey, that's not a bad one. The Man with No Name trilogy. Though, is that the same guy in the 3 movies? Like I'm a little confused about. Cause doesn't Lee Van Cleef, doesn't he play different people in it? Like, I don't know. I'm not really so sure if that really is a trilogy or not. It's hard to say. I mean, you'd get the impression from the title, A Fistful of Dollars for a Few Dollars More, that sounds like a sequel, but then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly doesn't really correlate in the same way. So, yeah, maybe some debate on there. Yeah, they're different movies, but they're certainly advertised retroactively as a trilogy. But hey, you ever heard of the Dark Knight trilogy? Pretty damn sure the first movie's called Batman Begins. We don't say the Empire Strikes Back trilogy, do we? They say Star Wars. I don't know why we have to go with Dark Knight trilogy when one of them is clearly not even called Dark Knight. And Dark Knight Rises, like if they'd worked this out, they would have called the first movie The Dark Knight Falls, The Dark Knight Rises. That would have, but what do I know? They don't pay me to do this stuff, so. No, let's go with Batman Begins. Shit, maybe Christopher Nolan, he didn't have the box office clout. Maybe he wanted to call it The Dark Knight, and the studio said, no one knows who The Dark Knight is. That's confusing. We have to have Batman in the title. And this reboot thing, pretty brand new. Did this actually edge out Superman Returns? And Superman Returns is actually considered continuity to Superman 3, I think, or at least Superman 2. So Superman 2, and maybe Superman 3, ignoring 4. So the concept of the reboot was brand new in terms of superhero stuff. The studio may have changed the name of that. Yeah, you can't count Indiana Jones anymore. They were unblemished for much of my life. And then I graduated college, and then all of a sudden they weren't. So yeah. Clint Eastwood's basically the same guy, though, kind of. There's not much to say he's any different between the 3 movies. What are your plans for the channel? Kind of keep doing what I'm doing, saying the things that need to be said, stepping on necks, not making friends. Really, like, everybody who wants to tell you that we've grown this channel, done it. Megyn Kelly, you would not have any viewers if you were not already on Fox News. Candace Owens. Oh, I was big before I went to the Daily Wire, okay? Because you got teamed up with Turning Point USA, which is all funded by Don Jr., so that they could then funnel viewers to hear your important voice, right? All these people that had jobs in media now get to act like they've grown this thing from by themselves when they used to be on TV every day and shit. The people that actually were here to start with, there's so much competition, you just can't get anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if the studio said that. Yeah. Candace Owens knows how to ride the grift train, though. Man. Yeah, like I said, I'm not paid enough to lie to you guys. Megyn Kelly hot take, so true. Does anyone read ads worse than Megyn Kelly? She has this like insincere kindergarten lecture type thing that she does when she reads ads. Like, give me an example. Okay, Red Bull. All right. She'll be like, you know what you really need? Our friends over here at Red Bull. Red Bull gives you wings. And it's like, she doesn't believe any of this shit. She's just here. She has to do a plug in her show where she talks up Sirius satellite radio as if she listens to that. And Jesus shit. It's just straight embarrassing. But sometimes I do like to check in on that stuff to kind of see how things are being contorted and spot the obvious grift and report, but there is, as you can see, there's not a lot to be gained in being the person with the one eye in the land of the blind. So yeah, it's kind of the way that goes. As for what's coming up, I don't know if you saw here, but I got a Fifth Element commentary coming, some shorts. I need to get to some game reviews. I kind of drug my feet on South of Midnight. I've only played 2 chapters of it. Oh, plenty of movies and things to get through. I've got some products to talk about. My dad keeps coming up with what he thinks are good ideas for his channel. And I'm like, all right, look, you need to say, does this need to be a video? Yeah, people want to see how I put wires on curtain rods to keep the curtain from moving. And then that happens and it bombs. And then, well, you should have done this different. Somehow it's my fault. The first 3, I like Alien 3. But I admit the third one is my favorite, says Atticus. That's an odd take. Most people dislike 3. I think it does a pretty good job of being like the original. It kind of does that back to basics, but there is a lot to differentiate it from the original. I don't think people can really get behind Alien Resurrection. It skews a little goofy at times. It seems like deaths, the kills in that are more played for laughter. Joss Whedon trying to make his Joss Whedon flick and then having to realize it's an R-rated horror franchise when he, just interjects the crew from Firefly. The crew of the Serenity is just in that movie, right? Like the prototype beta tested Serenity crew wanders into Alien Resurrection. The restored cut of Alien 3, I've heard things about that. I don't know all the ins and outs. I know I think the version I did, the commentary on, featured the aux, like the assembly cut thing. But then they had, like in 2003-ish, maybe, they had a CGI xenomorph pup that kind of like runs out of across the screen. And it's clearly CGI and it's not something that they had at the time. And it stands out. And that is a different cut there. So there are different cuts to that movie. And even in that one, I'm thinking in that one, they trap it. And then one of the inmates goes crazy and releases it. And that's a pick your poison scenario. Would you rather them actually succeed in trapping it and then somebody does some dumb shit to keep the movie going? I would generally weigh against the idea of dumb shit happening to create problems to extend the movie artificially. That's not a good way to tell a story. Just, oh, well, somebody did something stupid and they messed up, and now we have a movie. Not really the way I like to go about it. So, all right, we're going to end there, and I'm going to watch some Japanese thing here, Blu-ray. So, yeah, next week, guys. I'm pretty sure we're doing this next week. Prefer the dog chest burster. Makes more sense. That was the theatrical. That was the way it was played on TV, and it was pretty damn gruesome with the dog. I always felt the Firefly Serenity was essentially a subversion of the concept of Robin Hood, but in space, especially with the main they called Jane, the man they called Jane episode. Yeah. All right. Ciao. Till next time. Adios. All right. Hold on now. I got to say that better. If you made this, yeah, that's what I would leave on the other. If you made it this far, wait until marriage. Counseling.